right, I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item on our agenda is the minutes of our regular board meeting, February 20th, 2018.
Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or comments? All of those in favor of approval of the regular board meeting minutes, state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. Next item is a confirmation of and approval of the claims.
Hello. For the claims for March, the breakdown of the $520,079.69 total is from Fund 1, we paid $214,950.38. That was approximately $43,000 more than we paid last year. And what we can attribute that to, again, is the timing of payments for Kenny. Then also we purchased a digital display table for the high school. That was about $9,000. We had some additional bus repair parts that were, again, about $9,000. We purchased a large mobile stander from Extreme Mobility for about $4,000. That will be reimbursed approximately 80% from Medicaid. And then we also had some repair costs at the Bardstown High School for some elevator doors. That was about $3,400. Out of our debt service, we paid 3 bond series principal and interest for $167,732.27.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Ross?
If there's no questions, do I have a motion for approval of the approval and confirmation of the claims? Is there a second?
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? All those in favor of confirmation and approval of the claims state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. Next item is the financial report.
For the treasurer's report for the month ending February 2018, we have a verified cash balance with the bank statement and also our balance sheet for $7,235,833.93. You probably noted, as I told you last month, that we would be making that transfer for the nickels. And you can see that the debt service, Fund 400, and then also Fund 310 and 320, those have been altered from last month. Since our last meeting, a scaled back version of the original Senate Bill 1 to address pension reform was unveiled. But with 7 days remaining in the 2018 session, optimism is dwindling that the pension reform will be finalized this session. The other bill that we've discussed is Senate Bill 66, which would provide great relief for the classified retirement increases that are set to take effect on July 1st and will impact our district by nearly $400,000 in the first year alone. Senate Bill 66 would cap annual increases at 12% over the next decade to give employers time to adjust. And although they're not legally tied together, there has been some indication that deliberation of the bills are being held in concert. So we're closely monitoring those to see what develops in the coming days. And again, that session will have to end before April 14th. Also, the House is meeting today in committee to review House Bill 200 that addresses the state budget. And the House has opened the door to generate new revenue for the state as well as increase the SEEK-based level funding amount. So from the sound of it, we can expect a flurry of activity down to the end of this session with the potential of special session on the horizon. On to some definite positive news for our district. March 1st, we received a notice of our final fiscal year 18 SEEK award. Overall, there was a reduction of about $25,000 from the tentative award amount that was issued in September. However, we had anticipated that reduction when formulating the working budget, so our true difference is an additional $4,700 that we realized. Also, the capital outlay and nickel funding remain the same, so we're now able to generate the final capital funds request for this fiscal year, which Mr. Hoskla will present in a short time for your approval. And finally, for an update on the tax collection status, through the month ending February, we've collected 97% of the real estate and tangible property bills that were issued, with a balance remaining of just $239,000. And one of those bills is substantial. It's approximately $87,000 that was issued to one commercial property owner. They have been in contact with us, and we anticipate that they're going to pay it before the tax sale.
Wasn't that realtor? A realtor agency?
No. Was it in the paper?
That's what it's listed, that's
Yeah.
the property owner's name, yes.
Okay. That was not the name that I was familiar with.
That's rather substantial.
That might be the name of the company. I don't know that it's changed hands since last year. It was on the roll also at this time last year, so we can expect that that'll be paid up before the tax sale. On Sunday, we published the legal notice of tax sale, and you've seen that in the Kentucky Standard, and then also it's on our website. Our tax sale set for April 20th, and we've already received interest from several third-party purchasers. And that finalizes my report, unless you have some questions.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next item, if there's no other comments, is the superintendent report.
We have a great superintendent's report today. I'm excited to share with you we're going to begin today with our Lady Tiger basketball team. They are a very unique group because they have made history this year. I'm going to introduce our Lady Tiger Bardstown High School basketball coach here, and she's going to come forward in just a few minutes, but Miss Coach Amber Courtney, would you just stand up so we can identify you there? Thank you so much. Coach Courtney came to us from North Bullitt back in 2015, where she had a very successful girls program. In her first year as coach here, she was able to turn our program around, and if I'm correct on this, I think she went the first year 18 and 12.
That was the second year.
Second year.
First year was 21 and 9.
21 and 9, thank you. And obviously, she's done nothing but win since she's been here, so that we're so grateful for. She's done a great job of creating a culture of family with these young ladies. And when she first came on board and we were first talking about her position and so forth, she didn't want to talk about basketball. She wanted to talk about building character. She wanted to talk about young ladies being successful and productive when they grew up in our community. I knew right then that we had the right person. And so she's done a wonderful job since she's been here. We're blessed to have her here. Here are a few things when I said they made history this year. Coach Courtney will probably share some of this with us as well. We've only won the district a few times. This was the third time we won the district. This is in our storied history. We had 2 wins in the same year in a regional tournament. We played in the regional championship for the first time. So these are a few things. Her overall record, I'll let her share that with you and some other things about that. But we definitely have a very special coach here, and we have a very special group of young ladies that we want to recognize today and let them know how much we appreciate them and how proud we are of them. Coach Courtney, if you'll come forward, please.
First off, I would say thank you for having us today and introducing these wonderful young ladies. But the first thing I want to start with is not basketball, but this GPA of our varsity team. Our varsity team holds a 3.7 GPA as a group. So they're not only successful on the court, they're very successful in the classroom. So I like to start because that's very high on our agenda. When we have meetings at the beginning of the year, our grades, and they all know it with our no-fail policy. So we run it very strict. If you're failing anything, you don't play. So our rules are much stricter than even the KHAA rules. So no fail, no play. So these girls have really stuck to that, and they work really hard. So like I said, they have a 3.7 GPA, which is pretty phenomenal for the varsity group. We have several that have 4.0s. and take all the AP classes. So they work really hard. So like he said, this year we were very successful. We went 22-10. We were district champions, and then we were regional runner-up. We have defeated 2 top 20 teams this year. We defeated Anderson County, which was ranked as high as 15, and we beat E-Town in mid-February, which was at the end of the season, they were ranked as high as 2 in the state. So we had a very phenomenal season with 3 seniors, 1 junior, which the seniors couldn't be here today, they're job shadowing with ACT Day. But the most of our group are sophomores and below. So if you see right here, this is most of our ones that we get to come back, and they're going to be juniors and freshmen, and so we have a very young group, so we have high hopes for next season as well. Is there anything else you all would like to add? No, so in the last 2 years, this group, most of them have all played before, but so in the last 2 years, this group is 44-20 total record. This senior group that's leaving us this year, they are 83-41, and they're the most successful senior group, or freshman to senior year group in school history, the most successful, most wins in any group from start to finish. And every year that we've been here, we've had any student athlete that wanted to play at the next level has played on scholarship. So this is year 4. The only year that we did not, it was last year, but we didn't have any seniors. So year 1, we had 1 go to West Virginia. Year 2, we had 1 go to Lincoln Trail full ride, who has now got the opportunity to go to another school because that was a JUCO. And this year we have Destiny Love, who will be attending Berea free. So in 3 years, we've had 3 full rides for any athlete that's wanted to play at the next level. So we look forward to this next group to have just as many be able to leave us with full rides to the next level. So also, I'd like to thank you all for all, in my 4 years, all the wonderful upgrades that have been happening in the gymnasium, scoreboards and lights, and those things have come a long way since my first year here, and it's making the gym look extremely nice, and I just want to thank everyone for all of those lovely upgrades that we so much deserve as hard as these kids work. So.
They stand and identify
Yeah,
themselves.
go ahead, Joy.
Yeah, let's do.
I'm Jordan Boggs, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Kaden Swallows, and I'm an 8th grader.
Jasmine Boggs, and I'm a sophomore.
Jaylia Cotton, an 8th grader.
Dejan Tony, and a freshman.
Mataja Yoko, a 9th grader.
Katrina Brown, sophomore.
Soka Walsh, and I'm a sophomore.
So as you see, we have a very bright future with this group coming back. They're youngins.
Coach Courtney, I'm a rather humble person myself, but I feel responsible for the first 2 games that she won in the region. So I gave her a tip. I said, if you'll score more points than the other team, you will win.
Very good. Our next item on the superintendent's report, as we have with us today, 5 wonderful teachers here that have completed a very demanding process, the National Board Certification. Let me tell you a little bit about the National Board Certification. It's issued by the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards, and it's the highest professional certification a teacher can earn. These 5 teachers will join 3 of our other teachers, Bardstown City School teachers, Miss Amy Adams, our gifted and talented coordinator, Felicia Rudolph, early childhood, and Angela Filiatru, who's also at the early childhood. They previously earned their National Board Certification. We want to congratulate these 5 ladies. It happens that they're all from the primary school. I don't know what we're doing at the primary school right now.
Something good.
Well, we're doing something good overall, but yeah, exactly. Very good point. So, but they've met their National Board Professional Teaching Standards. This is a very rigorous process. The National Board certification is not something that is easy to do. It's not an easy task. The National Board certification process can take hundreds of hours of preparation, both personal and professional. It's referred to as the gold standard of teacher credentials. So, folks, we really appreciate your dedication to getting this certification. We're very proud of you, and we want to congratulate you and let you know that this is something that it's not easy, it's very difficult, and we certainly appreciate what you've done. So what I'd like to do is introduce these folks at this time. If you'll just stand, Miss Mary Boston, just remain standing there. Marcy Ballard, Danielle Cravens, Jackie Krigler, Miss Kelly Farrell. Congratulations to you. And we have a couple of folks, I think, that want to speak to us here. If you'll just come up.
A national board certification process is designed to collect standards-based evidence of accomplished practice. We all began this journey in 2014. We were required to complete 4 components, 3 portfolio entries submitted online, and a computer-based assessment administered at a testing center. The 4 components focused on content knowledge, differentiation and instruction, teacher practice and learning environment, and reflective and effective practitioner. The computer-based assessment had us demonstrate knowledge for teaching a specific content area. We differentiated instruction based on student work that was collected over a long period of time. Teachers analyzed student growth over time and compiled a written commentary to explain specific instructional decisions made. Videos were recorded to show teacher and student interactions, and written commentaries demonstrated how teachers engaged students and impacted their learning. The 4th component focused on knowledge of assessments to effectively plan for student learning. We were challenged to communicate with families, collaborate with colleagues, and contribute to our community to advance student learning. National boards maintain high and rigorous standards for what teachers should be able to know and do. The experiences we've had in each component challenged our teaching practices and changed the way we reach students each day in a very positive way.
And that's what we all notice the most. How our teaching evolved through National Board Certification to positively impact the students of Bardstown City Schools. Through this very rigorous process, we constantly pushed ourselves to think outside the box, to provide a high level of instruction that was differentiated to meet and exceed the expectations for all students, and to analyze our teaching values and compare those against national standards, to become effective, reflective, and deliberate practitioners. Since beginning this process, we have all challenged ourselves to a high level of leadership by serving on our site-based councils, our schools' leadership committees, and serving on district-level committees. And we do this to not only become advocates for our profession, but more importantly, as advocates for our students and high-quality teaching for all. With between about 10 to 15 years we're all about that experience, National Board allowed us to revisit our practice and to push ourselves forward. We hope to become positive agents of change and lead the way for others in our district to pursue such a rewarding and worthwhile experience through National Board Certification. Thank you all for recognizing us today. It's truly an honor.
The point I want to make is, thank you all for explaining that process. And as I said, it's a very rigorous process. They did all this while they're doing their normal job. They didn't take a leave of absence. So it's really something special that needs to be recognized. So again, thank you. We're proud of you and congratulations.
Thank you.
You all are free to remain or leave if you'd like. The last item I have in the superintendent's report, there are some activities that you have there in your board notes attached closely to that. Take a look at those and feel free to join us when you can. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
All right, our next item is a recognition of any visitors that we have. Would you please stand and state your name and address?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Oh, that would be great. And then if you could just kind of limit your
Yes, sure will.
speech, but I'm not much of a watcher, so.
Yes, my name is Joseph Petty. I'm the former karate instructor here at Bardstown. The reason that I was dismissed, I'm kind of confused with, but I will make it short. Last year, we had a school, oh gosh, when the parents come in for
Parent-teacher conference?
Orientation, maybe.
orientation,
Yeah.
where the kids come in to sign up for different programs and things like that. I was asked to come in to have the students sign up for karate. At the time I came in, the principal asked me to have certain documents and stuff ready for them to fill out. When I came in, that at the time, the principal, I asked the principal where his document was, and he kind of like slung his arm like this. And I kind of looked that way, and I assumed he went that way. And then the principal, I asked the principal for the pencils. He kind of took the pencils and slammed them like this. So that made me kind of upset. And so I kind of went to the cafeteria, upset. Found the table and everything. So I was really in an upset mood, so I really feel like I shouldn't have been there. So I kind of took a piece of paper, wrote a note, asked people to fill out a form, take them to the office, and I'll get back with them. So I called the principal and asked the principal, I texted the principal and asked them to let me know when it's going to make a meeting so I can meet with the parents and everything, discuss about the karate. We made a date and time for the meeting. When I came for the meeting, nobody was there. I asked the principal. I walked in the office and asked the principal about the meeting. He's with two other of his associates, and I asked about the meeting, and they kind of chuckled and said, oh, they forgot about the meeting. And again, I was upset. Nobody told me the meeting was canceled or anything. So I called the Board of Education, tell the superintendent about it. I told the superintendent about it. He said he was going to give the principal about it because I didn't like how I was treated. And so he said he was going to take a few days to get to the principal about it and talk to the principal about it. So the principal called me within the next day, I believe. He wants to have a meeting with me. So he had a meeting with me. He said he didn't like how I went over his head. He said he didn't think there was any space now for the karate program. He said the whole gym belonged to this other after-school program. What I didn't like was that if the entire gym belonged to this program, why did you even schedule the meeting for the karate? If it did not want the karate that year, why did they have me come to have kids sign up for it? I didn't understand what was going on. You know, I come here and said, I would love to have karate. And then he kind of like just tossed it out. There was parents that paid $40 for a year to have that program, to me, to our karate foundation. And they did not get that year of that program that they actually paid us for. I didn't understand. Joy Downs tried to help me as much as we could. You know, I tried to go down to Nelson County, and I asked them, they said, who should we talk to down there? I said, the only one I can tell you to talk to is the principal down here. I guess they talked to him. I guess he must have gave me a bad report. They didn't even call me. They must have called me not for a reason. The only person they talked to was the person here. I don't want my name dragged to the mud. I did very good down here. I had respect from the kids and everything. I didn't understand why I even stopped going down here. The kids, I told the kids that when you have your testing, I want you to be responsible for those tests. I don't want you to come to class. Do those tests that the school wants you to do. The schools need those tests. Do those, and then come back to class. You know? Then the principal says, well, the classes put down. Well, nobody announced the classes were beginning. So I had 4 or 5 students in the last 2 weeks of class. But that ain't what I had to the rest of the time. This confused me. I talked to him about it in his meeting, about the things that he did. He told me they're going to believe me before they believe you. That's all I have to say. I'm just confused.
Thank you, Mr. Petty.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch with you to get some resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward.
You're welcome.
Our next item is the Bardstown Early Childhood Education Center delivery targets.
We have with us today Ms. Michelle Sharp, the Early Childhood Education Center principal, and this is part of our series. Actually, she's wrapping up this series. We are going to focus on instruction. As you know, we've heard from all of our schools, and so Ms. Sharp, we appreciate you being here today and anxiously awaiting for the great news you're going to share with us.
Okay, super, thank you. All right, so today I am focusing on the delivery targets of Bardstown Early Childhood. As I probably mentioned to you before, we don't have nearly the assessment level data that the other schools have. So what I'd like to do today is to revisit some of the initiatives that I've talked to you about previously, let you know where we are with those, and then share with you the data that I do have. So this time last year, we talked about the pilot of zoophonics. If you'll remember, that's a method developed to make children stronger readers and spelling using lots of motions, hearing, singing, and each of those are based on brain research. And it helps with the ease of memory because we're linking letters to animals and the sounds associated with those names. So we have seen a lot of growth in our students using the zoophonics program, and we have full implementation of that this school year with our 4-year-old program. The second thing that I wanted to revisit that we have talked about previously is the preschool partnership grant. As you know, we were awarded that grant in July of 2017, and that was at an amount of $150,000. It's not very often that we're given an amount of money like that, but this has been a very exciting opportunity for us this school year. So as I've shared with you previously, we have set this up basically under the heading of 2 components. One is our child care outreach program, and so we reached out to child care facilities that we feed into. The purpose of the partnership grant is to provide full day, strong quality instruction for all students. So they're with us 3 hours, but what do they do for the remainder of the day? So we've partnered with the Bardstown Child Care Program here on campus, Discovery Child Care, which is a private child care here in town, and Little Angels Child Care. Those 3 were our initial program sites. The 4th that we added is Bardstown Head Start. This was at the recommendation of Michelle Ryan, just because she said, really, we have children feeding into us from 2 different locations, Bardstown Early Childhood as well as Head Start, and we'd like to see you be a little bit more on the same page. So this has given us a good opportunity as well to partner with them and make sure that we are providing the same opportunities for students at both locations. So this year, this is being led by Jenny Hagan. Many of you know her because she's been in our district for quite some time. She is one of our preschool teachers, and so she's taken a leave of absence from the classroom this year and is working with those 4 sites. So in terms of what she does, she spends a lot of time collaborating with the partner sites, providing them training, providing some modeling. She's done everything from arranging classrooms for them to helping them secure materials that they may need to work with the students the remainder of the day. And also we have had site visits. So our partner sites have come in and observed what we're doing so that they have some ideas of how to carry on with that through the remainder of the day. She's also working with those sites to achieve STARS accreditation in all of those locations. The second half of the grant is our STEAM Ahead program, and this provides an additional half-day opportunity for 40 students who are economically eligible and weren't currently enrolled in one of those programs. So they weren't already a child at Bardstown child care program, or Little Angels, they were going to no structured environment for the other half day. We identified those students last spring, and I think we had about 60 on the list in the beginning, and magically about 40 said yes, we want to do it, which was exactly the number that we could serve. You may have seen us, we're in the Tiger Den. If you're facing the Tiger Den, you've got the STEAM Academy, the gifted and talented portion on the far right side. We're on the far left side, and it's the STEAM Ahead room. And so we have one teacher and one assistant who have staffed that room all year. So if a student comes to us in the morning and they're part of STEAM Ahead, they ride a bus over and this is their other half day, or vice versa. So she serves 20 kids each time while we're serving within our building as well. And so just like STEAM Academy, our focus is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. We're a little bit unsure about the funding for that next year. This time last year, we were working on the grant. Again, that's one of those things that's tied up in the legislature right now, and so we aren't for sure what's going to happen with that. You know, sometimes I think you can look at things like that and say, was it worth it to do it for just a year? But I can absolutely say, yes, it was worth it to do it, even if it is only a year. It's given us the ability through Jenny's position, the liaison position, to form some partnerships that weren't already there. It's opened some doors to communication with Head Start and the primary that weren't already there. And then our STEAM Ahead has offered 40 kids the opportunity to have a very enriching day, the other half day. And the materials that we've been able to purchase with grant money has been phenomenal. So we've already talked about as a staff, if we don't get this back, all of those materials that we were using with them will be boxed up and will be rotated among our classrooms. So on a setup day, you get a new box of STEAM materials for your classroom. So if I walked away with nothing else from this, the fact that we have these amazing materials was completely worth it. But there were so many added bonuses with this that regardless of what happens, I'm pleased that we were able to do this for a year. Okay, and yes?
Define at-risk.
That is that tier of students that fall in that free or reduced lunch range. It has to do with parent income and how many students are living in the home, or how many total people are living in the home. So we have students who come to us as 4-year-olds because they're at risk and they're state funded for preschool. So those same students who are state funded for preschool qualified for this as well. Just provided a full day instead of a half day.
So the full day is just for at-risk kids?
Just at risk through the grant, yes. Yeah. So I did want to share with you just a few pictures, just because you can see the excitement and you can also see some of the wonderful materials that we've been able to purchase through the grant. We've tried to make this half day look as different from our half day as possible. We're doing science and technology and math. We're doing all of those things in early childhood, but each day she provides them STEAM challenges. They do a whole group STEAM challenge, and then they do small group STEAM challenges as well. And the center materials just look different than center materials. One of the things she's implemented in the last couple of weeks that she and I talked about is a chapter book read aloud. It's not something you normally do with preschoolers. But we've got these kids all day, and we've got time to do some things that we wouldn't normally do. And so in the past week, she's introduced them to the chapter book series, Flat Stanley, and it's been really phenomenal to watch how excited they are. And this is big for them. There aren't pictures to follow along. They have to listen and imagine. And so they've just been exposed to some things that we just simply don't have time for within our 3-hour day. Just a couple more pictures. We use these blocks all the time, but these are actually transparent and they can be used on the iPad. So just a variety of different things, different types of materials than we've had in the building. But like I said, I'm excited to have those materials in the building on a rotating basis if we don't have this next year. Okay, so let's talk about data a little bit. You all have heard me say repetitively the last few years, I'm very proud of our Brigance scores. Being at the preschool level is a little hard in that there isn't a lot of data other than what teachers collect within their classrooms. And so this is one of the only ways we have to measure, are we doing a good job, or are we doing better than average? And so again, for another year, we're consistently above average with kindergarten readiness scores. Just a reminder that I can't ever see the scores of every student coming from my building because they're assessed at the kindergarten level. And so if I have a child that goes somewhere else to kindergarten and not the primary, I don't ever see their scores. So in that manner, it's disappointing for us. But what I do is take the primary scores, pull out the ones that came to us, and figure our average. We were down slightly this year, which is a little bit disappointing to us because we've been on this steady increase in score. We're definitely keeping an eye on that. I feel like we're looking at one of two things. Either it was just a fluke, or another area that I have a little thought about is zoophonics, because it teaches, what research says about how kids learn is that they learn best through learning the sounds of the letters first and the names of the letters later. Vergance asked them the name of the letter. They could know the sound of every single letter, and it wouldn't matter if they can't name that letter. And so I feel confident in that we are using research-based instruction. I feel confident in what we're doing is going to provide the skills necessary to make good readers. But that's definitely something that we're watching. And obviously we incorporate the name of the letter as well. It's just not the first thing that we do. So that will absolutely be something that we watch. But again, a slight decline, but nothing that I was overly concerned about. I did want to let you know that this year is our year for the preschool performance review. The state started this 6 years ago. We're on an every 5-year rotating basis that we're reviewed. So my first year here, we were reviewed, and then this is the second time that it has happened. So they do 20% of the districts every school year, and we're in cohort 2, and this is our year. So the state sometimes calls that P2R. You may hear that. It's a 2-part assessment. One is a desk audit, and that's documentation that has to be submitted to the Department of Ed by June 30th, and that is really just proof of the things that we say are going on in our school. I'm providing the evidence of that, and that's a lot of work on my part, and the teachers help me collect the things that we need for that. The second is classroom evaluations using the Early Childhood Environment Rating Scale. You may have heard us talk about that before. It's called ECHRS. Those reviews were conducted in December by district staff and then followed by the Department of Ed staff in January. And this is hot off the press. I've only had it since yesterday, but our state review scores out of a possible 7 were 6.72, and I'm thrilled with that. This is a very, very critical assessment. I really can't even begin to describe to you how every single component of your program is evaluated, everything from safety practices to room arrangement to instruction to how staff interact with students. And the state's goal for us is a 5. So to have a 6.2 thrills me. I'm very pleased with that, and really could not expect any more of a staff than what they're doing. It truly is amazing, and it's been a lot of work on their part. So very appreciative of that. I also don't have up here, but I think we've mentioned to you all before, the other rating that the state is doing now is the STARS rating, and we do have the high score on that as well, which is a 5. Lastly, I wanted to share with you the big story of the year, and that's growth. We are busting at the seams. Our current enrollment is at an all-time high of 329 students. So you may remember several years ago, we were full, and we had the mobile learning unit on our site. This is 329 without the mobile learning unit. We're full. So we had to find more space after Christmas, and we were welcomed, thankfully, by Bardstown Primary School, and we opened an additional classroom in their kindergarten hallway in January. Most of our classrooms are at capacity at this point. I may have a spot here and there, but we're pretty much at the most we can take. And obviously working with central office to determine the best ideas for placement for classrooms for next year. We have registration April 27th, and so that'll give us a better idea of how many students we're looking at for next year. But I really feel like our community has lots of options for preschool, but they're recognizing that Bardstown Early Childhood's the best and just an amazing value. I think about when we're $39 a week, and we're offering the kind of instruction and qualification of the teachers, an amazing facility, wonderful materials. midday transportation and a free meal. It doesn't get any better than that, in my opinion, for $39 a week. And lastly, I included this picture because these are the people that make it happen every day. Like I said, so proud of them. They work hard every day and they're so good at what they do. Questions?
Is there a budgetary reason or space reason that you can't have kids that are not at risk going full day?
Honey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, all of the
Simply-
above, probably. I mean, like I said, we don't have much space right now. We had to carve out space for this program. It's been a nice pilot. Might it be something that we look at in the future? I don't know.
You as a board, you do so much more than a lot of school districts when it comes to early childhood. Our state funding is for K-12, so the work we do outside of that is mostly, we have to find creative ways to fund it, so.
Grants, no.
Mhm.
Well, okay, is it safe to say
Title
that
monies.
that the grant qualification was for at-risk children?
Mhm. Yes, it was.
So that's why
Right.
it's not.
For the little
eligible
steamers,
for the-
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That may.
So, yes, that
Had to
program.
get that in, didn't I?
He did. He can't help it.
I have a rather selfish reason for asking that. I have a little girl that's going to try and get registered next year, and I've seen what you all do, and it's, if a kid could go through 8 or 6.5 or 7 hours of what you all teach, then, you know, it would be to our advantage to have more kids go all day.
Absolutely. If we could.
And I would just like to add that your program, our program, the Bardstown Early Childhood, is known throughout the community as an excellent program.
I feel the same. We're very blessed, very, very blessed. I just work with an amazing group of people, and they are truly the heart of what it is. But we have, you know, the support of this board. We have the support of the primary, and it's good to just I mean, Michelle and Natalie and Lance Boston and I were in a meeting this morning just about transitioning preschool to kindergarten, making sure we're making good choices and being thoughtful about kids' needs. And so it's just, it feels good to work in a place where you know you're making a difference in this way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Michelle, I do have a couple of comments here before you get away
Okay.
from us. The program that we're doing with the grant, I certainly hope that funding does come through and you don't have to go to the box
Yeah.
concept, but it's good that you're looking ahead. We so appreciate your vision of what we're doing. There are 40 children here that would have not had that experience. I don't know how we could do this, but that would be the class of 2031. And somehow we ought to just check on these 40.
I agree.
And just kind of see how things went, because they are getting exposed to things that otherwise they would not have. And thank you for your vision there. I can tell you the great things have been said about early childhood here today have everything to do with at least 2 of these board members were present back in 1980, in the mid-'80s. And Dr. Smotherman would be very proud today to know what we've accomplished. That 6.7 out of 7 is outstanding.
It is outstanding.
Keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Our next item, it's about that time again for the Bardstown High School graduation date.
As you know, we have selected the Saturday after the last day of school or the last week of school. This year will be June the 2nd. Our last day of school will be June the 1st. Will be at 11 a.m. If that's something that suits you. It seemed to have worked well in the past. It does allow our folks that come in from out of town to see their graduates. It allows them some time to do that before our graduates go off to project graduation. So if that's something you'd like to continue, I recommend that you approve that time and date.
Do I have a motion for approval of the June 2nd graduation date at 11 a.m.?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor of the June 2nd graduation date, state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Next item is the Kentucky Center for School Safety, the STOP
program.
Stop tip line, I've put you have this in your packet, and there's a handout in front of you, behind your nameplate there, whichever is easiest for you to take a look at. But the STOP tip line, basically stop tip line, is something that the Kentucky Center for School Safety is providing for school districts. And so probably the best way to describe this, it's an opportunity for parents or community folks to provide information to schools in a online method. So in some cases, this gives folks an opportunity to share things that otherwise they may not. It is not an immediate type of emergency situation. If it's something that needs immediate attention, you need to either call the 911 if it is an emergency, or call the school directly if it's a semi-emergency or something you want us to know right away. But it does take some time, and you can see at the very bottom of the document, probably on the back side, it talks about the due to the nature of the internet, it does take time to process these kind of requests. So it's mainly to let folks know, give folks an opportunity to let us know of some concerns that they might have. It's all about school safety. As you know, we want this to be looked at as another tool in the box to enhance our current school safety procedures. In no way do we want this tip line to even be considered as a replacement of face-to-face communication, to take the relationship building piece away from our community. We want our principals, our teachers, our administrators to all make that a priority. Still, it's just one more tool and a way to communicate with us. There is no cost to a district that participates, financial cost at all, that participates in this. The infrastructure is already built there. We would identify, which we'll go through some training with the school safety group, and they will help us set this up. But there will be an email on our website that can be reached with these kind of concerns that you might have. With that being said, I would like to open the floor for any discussion. One thing before I do that, we will have to, and be glad to, once we get, if we go in this direction, to find a way to promote this concept to our school community to be sure that folks know that it is available. Any discussion that you have at this time, be glad to answer those questions.
Is this our website they're going to be clicking on, and
Yes.
will come to?
Perhaps
who will be directed to?
we'll get some training on it, but there will be an icon that you can click on. Then you can put your concern up there, and then that concern would go to, typically it's the DPP in a school district. That would be the priority. There will be 3 individuals set up there that it will actually come to, and then that will be passed on to, say it was a concern about the elementary school, then that would be passed on to the elementary school. That's what we mean by it'll take a while to process. So if you have an emergency, don't put an emergency in there. You need to contact us directly. That's all part of the promotional piece of it. But yes.
And I'm assuming then that there will be a data part of it too, that we can get, that someone could go back and see what kind of information we're receiving, right?
Yes, there will be, as far from what I understand, that yes, the type of requests that you have or concerns that you have, but there will not be a data bank that keeps that for a long period of time. The Kentucky School Safety Group has said that would not be something that would be available.
We could take that information though on our own.
Yes, and put it in a spreadsheet or something
right.
of that nature if you wanted to.
I wonder how abuse of this system would be handled if we get kids or parents or vindictive reports about
Yes.
people or other students that are false. Wondering, we don't know enough about this, I guess. See how that'd be
Well, we
monitored.
kind of do. It has improved some. I do not have that information right now, but there are 3 levels of reporting that you would do, from the most minor to the most serious, and they would be in those categories. That's something we didn't have before, and that is a concern. we were presented this about 3 years ago and opted not to, elected not to participate for that reason, but we feel as though that it's a better program now, and to answer your question specifically, I can't, but I do have great comfort that.
You'd have to think that every report made is going to have to be investigated
Yes.
regardless
Right.
of severity, I
Right.
would think.
And so it's just another tool to do that. We're already getting reports that we have to investigate every day. I think that might be, now that I'm thinking, that might be the answer to your question, is we're getting those in paper form or verbally, and this is another way to report it, so it's probably not more work.
Who actually in the district or in our administration investigates it? Or something like this would be depending on the type of complaint or report? and
Yes,
the
depending upon the
school
level of seriousness of it. It would begin, in this case, it's going to come to the DPP, and that person would look at this and make an assessment. This is a dire strait, we need to get immediately on this, then it might be handled at the superintendent level. It could be handled at the school level.
Okay, thank you.
So this is open to the public?
Yes,
Anybody
yes.
can call in?
Anybody can go online and file their complaint, and which is really, my email address, for example, is on the website. I get those. They can email me directly and do occasionally with concerns and so forth. So it's not a perfect system, but it's another tool to help combat many of those things that make schools unsafe out there. And so, from that standpoint, that's what has piqued my interest about the program. So,
Will the board be involved?
you will be involved at the same level that you are now. In other words, when a complaint is filed, that I'll make you aware of that situation. If it's not of a serious nature, then obviously I wouldn't, but anything of a serious nature, yes.
Okay.
But it wouldn't change. I mean, it wouldn't be a change of what we're currently doing. The kind of things that I keep you aware of, which you seem to be recently, you've told me that you've been pleased with that level of information, so it will continue to be that. Good questions.
Do I have a motion for approval of the Kentucky Center for School Safety
So moved.
stop?
I'll second.
Any further comments or discussion? All those in favor of the Kentucky Center for School Safety Stop program, state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Next item is the New Skills for Youth grant.
We're in the very early stages of a grant we're working with I think maybe 4 other school systems, 3 other school systems, 4 being total, perhaps. 5, there we go, thank you. And like I said, we're in the very early stages. And Mr. Beck has been our point of contact, and we are moving towards getting your support for this. So I've asked Mr. Beck to come today and to share with us this resolution that we're being asked to approve today.
Thank you, Mr. Holzclaw. As Mr. Holzclaw said, what we're looking at is the Kentucky New Skills for Youth grant. This is actually the second cohort. This grant came around last year. It was picked up by the fiscal agent, the Nelson County ATC, and it was brought about. Unfortunately, the turnaround time was just not enough to pull together enough community members and supports from other districts. So we were not able to participate in the cohort last year. This year, as it comes up, we've been planning longer, and we now have participation from the Nelson County ATC, Nelson County Schools, Bardstown City Schools, Marion County, and Washington County, and ECTC, along with about 14 different businesses in the Central Kentucky region, ranging anywhere from Dow Corning to Hardin Memorial Healthcare. What we're looking at is in the planning stage of developing the Nelson County ATC and components of ECTC into a regional ATC that would house students from the entire region and create a situation where those students would be able to attend their full day to not only get those CTE courses, but also to get English and or math courses. And in a way, it's sort of transforming the entire high school experience for those students, because it would look very different than what it is now. Now, the real details to it are what we're going to actually be planning for the next year. This grant allows us to apply for, there's $690,000 set aside for this. The grant that we are in the group with is applying for $115,000, and it will be a planning grant, meaning we will take that $115,000 next year and continue to meet with the other school systems, the ATC, ECTC, and the various business members to try to figure out how do we make this regional ATC happen. As of right now, I'm not 100% sure. We've got some good ideas on the table, but it's going to take members of the community, it's going to take the different school systems, and it's going to take members of higher ed also to help work out all the different details that we have. For example, we've talked about if you were there at the ATC all day, where would you get your math and science credits? We would need certified people to do that. Who provides those services? Who funds those services? These are all the different idiosyncrasies we're going to have to work out as we look through that. But right now, I can tell you in the early planning stages, in the 5 high demand sectors of automobile and aircraft manufacturing, transportation, distribution and logistics, business services and R&D, healthcare, and energy creation and transmission, our area has decided to focus in on 3, and that's manufacturing, business, and healthcare. And each district or area would benefit differently. For example, those in LaRue County would benefit from developing a nursing program that their students don't currently have access to. Our students would benefit from an increase in ATC pathways that would be created. So every member benefits in some capacity. If you're a community member or a business, you benefit from a more readily available workforce. And so that's where we are right now, and we're still in the planning pathway, but I've brought before you assurances from Bardstown City Schools that we would like to participate in this grant. I do want to make clear that this assurance has no monetary commitment from the school system at all. It just assures that we will take part in the planning process, and if we do receive any funds from the grant, we will spend it with fidelity based upon the grant matters. Any questions I may answer?
Sounds great.
So
On
this-
being elected, excuse me, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so you're looking for approval for to submit the grant?
We're looking for approval for an assurance, which will go with, along with the other school systems, the Bardstown City Schools assurance that we would like to participate in this grant.
There's going to be plumbers or electricians?
Well, we already have the electrical pathway. Plumbing would be one that we don't currently have, and that could be something that the ATC looks at expanding into.
Well, we need a
Can't
bunch of...
find one?
Can't find one.
Could lead to that.
A good, like, but it can't find a good one.
That'll do smaller jobs.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That'll return the
That's
call.
Is this anyway connected with ECC's Work Ready program?
It could be, it's not currently, but it could be. ECTC has been involved in all of our meetings and will continue to be. Yes, ma'am.
And also need a plumber to tell you that when they tell you that they're going to be there at 2 o'clock, they tell you which day, which week, and which year.
That would be good for all skills.
That falls under soft skills.
Yeah,
They are working with our students for that.
Make a note of that, Mr. Beck.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. Are we working toward like another center or something, or we using?
At this time, the planning doesn't
what's
involve
available?
another center. It involves expanding what we have available.
Okay.
It's my belief that the state of Kentucky has many many ATC centers throughout the state,
Right.
but they're trying to figure out how can we expand them so that it's not just available for example, our ATC is utilized by us in Nelson County,
Mhm.
and they want to see those ATCs expanded so that they become regional centers, and so that we're using multiple, because the more the merrier, and the more we have, that economy of scale gives us more opportunities to work with different businesses and different pathways. But there are hurdles to overcome, such as transportation, time, funding, and that's what this grant will allow us to begin the process of trying to solve those.
Did you say there's a possibility of boarding, like room and board for
No, sir.
a certain area? Did I miss something?
I heard that too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I heard that. Yeah, that's okay, but I'd like to make a motion to approve this.
I'll second it.
Grant.
Okay, any further comments or discussion? All those in favor of the New Skills for Youth grant assurances, state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Next item is the capital funds.
Capital funds, you take a look at this page, this should be the third time you've seen this page in probably 2 or 3 months, I'd say, something of that nature. We had 500, and you probably don't, but we have $5,480 left in this account. We received our final SEEK numbers just recently, since the last board meeting, so now we're able to clear this account out. So what we want to do is move this $5,480 into the KISTA principal payment. So this is not the exact amount. This number, whatever was left over, we were going to move to KISTA. We'll pay the remaining balance of KISTA from general fund. So this just helps us save $5,480 from general. Basically, is what this does. So do need your approval to move that money though.
Make a motion to approve the capital funds request.
For a second?
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? All those in favor of approval of the capital funds request state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. Next item is the commercial card, bank card.
Bank card, and you're familiar with this. We have used American Express in the past, and I'll tell you a little more about that. But before I begin, I just want to give you some basic information about the commercial bank card that we have. We use the bank card to make payments every month. But the thing I want you to absolutely know, if you don't remember anything else, we pay that off every month. We never carry a balance forward on this credit card. Are you comfortable with that? So,
Very.
right, okay. So with that being said, in our American Express, I'll remind you that they had a rewards program. We started in 2010, and it was a pretty good idea. Whatever we were able to pay, they gave a percentage back to us. At that time, we decided we're going to get this money back. We weren't really sure where to put it. We decided as a board to donate it to the Bardstown Foundation for Excellence. That worked out pretty well. In short, we started the first year, that was around $2,000. We're up to a little over $6,000 this past year. We're able to donate to the foundation. Money going to great use. It's going right back into the classroom. Really a good way to spend the money. Like to compliment Ms. Rogers. She has been very diligent in studying and researching and finding ways to maximize the financial opportunities that we have here, and she has discovered another opportunity through MasterCard. So what you have there in your packet, there's a page there. Actually, I don't think that page is in your packet. But what you have is a document that maybe there's 3 documents there that we're going to be trying to get you to approve today. But before we move to that, let me tell you a little bit about how this will work. It's even a better deal than the American Express. So first of all, we're going to start with talking about a co-op concept. We're able to join forces with some school districts the size of like Fayette, Jefferson County, Kenton County. This will give us much greater potential for rewards, because it's going to be based on the pool. And so if you do go ahead and turn to the last page, it's page 6. It's not the 6th page, but it's page 6. It's the very last page in your electronic packet there. And it'll have at the top Kentucky Educational Co-op. And what you'll see there, we're going to be looking at as a co-op go on down to the $40 million mark. So with that being based, with all of us together, we'll go in on a co-op concept. We will get a net of 1.35% to be paid in rewards. So how that works for us, and with the American Express, we're able to pay about $600,000, just a little over $600,000 worth of bills with that card in a year's time. We're limited because not everyone used that, but we're going to be able to expand it to almost $1 million with MasterCard. Expenses, these are general expenses that we have. They're not new expenses. They're basic things like light bills and things that we have to pay. We'll be using this card. So we'll get a 1.35 return instead of a 1.4 return, and instead of 600,000 being based on, it'd be almost $1 million that the 1.35 will be based on. So to get you down to the bottom line, our potential right now is about a maximum of a little over 6,000. We'll go up to close to 13,000 that we'll be able to receive yearly to put back into the foundation, which will ultimately go directly back into the children of our school district. It's a great deal. Any questions on moving from this card to that card?
Who came up with this?
Pardon me?
Who came up with this?
Miss Tracy Rogers. She is our financial wizard here. She.
Ms. Rogers, I have a question though.
I do too. Why would Lexington and Louisville or Jefferson County want to go into something like this with us?
You can only imagine what they get.
Oh, that's what I mean. Why would they
But
want
our volume helps them. Us little guys help them as well.
It's a co-op volume.
It's a co-op.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But my question is, credit card fees are not cheap. So when you go to pay these vendors, Salt River, et cetera, will they discount back if you don't pay it by credit card, because they have to cover their costs? So you see what I'm saying? It's a float.
Right. No one has raised that to us. There has been a few vendors who, particularly during the economic downturn, that requested that we no longer pay that way, that we issue a check as we did in the past. But we've not had anyone offer a discount of any sort or add an additional charge because we're using MasterCard.
Right.
Or American.
Because at the end of the day, nothing's free, obviously. So they're having to pay one way or the other for these
Right. But the
accommodations.
good thing for our vendors, if you want to look at it this way, is that American Express will charge them a greater rate than MasterCard. So by us switching, they will pay less also.
Indeed, they do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval of the bank commercial card?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further comments or discussion?
What if we fail to pay one?
It's not going to happen.
Somebody's-
We don't know because it's never happened. We have no plans of it ever
It's
happening.
not going to happen.
Okay.
All
We'll call
right,
our finance manager.
all those in favor of approval of the bank commercial card, state aye. All
Aye.
those opposed, motion carried. Next item is the Hearst Farms lease agreement amendment.
This is, I'm going to ask Mr. Downs to speak to this, but we have property on Salt River behind our warehouse area that we purchased, and we leased that out. So Mr. Downs is here today to talk to us about maybe making some changes in that lease.
Just a little history. That was a lease we inherited from Salt River. They had been working with Hearst Farms in the past. And we've been in this lease a couple of years, and Hearst Farms approached us after last year's crop came through and asked for a little bit of relief. And our current lease states that they would pay $272.52 for each acre, and there's 38 acres. So they would ask for a little bit of relief off of that. So I tried to do my homework, and I talked to several people that lease their land, and I also talked to several people who lease land. And they said that the going rate is anywhere between $200 and $225 an acre. If you can get to the 225, that's pretty good. And so that's what we're asking to amend the lease for the next 2 years. We'll revisit it in 2 years. We're asked to going from $272.52 an acre to $225 an acre for the future. It gives them a little bit of relief. I think soybeans and corn is down a little bit. And so they've been very good partners with us, and so we're trying to accommodate. Any questions there?
I make a motion to approve the Hearst Farms lease agreement amendment.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other...
You're not going to take up farming, Mr. Downs, when you probably look for some help.
I can oversee the farm.
There you go.
Sounds like conflict of interest to me, son.
All right. If there's no further comments or discussion about Mr. Downs going into farming, we will, do I have all those in favor of approval of the Hearst Farms lease agreement? State aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Next item is travel authorization.
We do have 3 of those in your packet. The first one is a circumstantial latitude, and you're familiar with that. Was a speech team that between the February and March meeting became eligible and actually participated on March the 9th. So I'll make you aware of that per our agreement. And then we have 2 others in here, the Future Business Leaders of America, that will be doing an overnight trip. It'll be 2 nights in Louisville on April 16th to the 19th. Ask you for your approval of that one, as well as another one, Future Business Leaders, which will be in the summer, July 17th to the 19th. And again, that's an overnight trip, 2 local officers and 3 state officers. They do have appropriate chaperones for both of those. Any discussion on those? And if not, then I would ask you for approval.
Do I have a motion for approval of the travel authorizations?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor of the travel authorization state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. Next item is the leave of absence request.
We had 2 of those. You can see those there in your packet. Ms. Bridget Bowman and Ms. Rachel Turner, both of those are maternity leaves. They will be using their remainder of their sick days along with the maternity leave, Family Medical Leave Act. And all that paperwork is in good order. So I ask for your approval of those.
Do I have a motion for the leave of absence request?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? All those in approval for the leave of absence request state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Personnel, so next item.
We'll make you aware of resignations and retirements. There's a list of those there in your packet. You take a look at those.
All right, and your site-based council minutes are in your packet for your review. And if I could have a motion for moving into executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Chair, would you just read this, the KRS on why we're going in, and F is for personnel. If you would read that into the record, please.
Do I have that?
Yes, here's that right there. Just that right there, we're going into.
Motion to move into executive sessions per KRS 61.810.
Subsection 1.
Subsection 1F. Sorry. All those.
So what we'll do is we'll bring you some lunch in, get you started here with Mr. Eason, and then we'll cut you loose on your own. We do need, Madam Chair, to record the date and time that you come back into session.
Okay.
And then if there
Let's
is.
have a motion to go into
But
executive.
don't we need a motion to go in?
Yes.
I make a motion to go into executive session. You said we did that.
Did we do that?
We did?
I thought we did.
We just didn't vote on it.
You didn't vote on it.
Oh, we didn't vote on it. All those in favor of going into executive? Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. And the same thing when you come out.
We got it.
And then